Call the meeting to order for Griggs County Commission at 1 p.m. April 7th, 2017. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Here.
Dale.
Here.
Sean. Here. Ron's gone today and Troy's here. Okay, approval of the agenda. See anything that needs to be additions or corrections to the agenda as presented?
Move to approve as presented.
Moved by Dale to approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second? Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Take a look at the March 17th minutes. Any additions or corrections to the minutes from this last?
Page 3 under the old courthouse and courthouse says the commission would like more information before making a discussion.
Anything else?
Motion to approve the minutes with the correction.
Been moved by Dale to approve the minutes with one correction. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, move on to the bills.
If you would take a look at page 4, the boiler inspection had to come, or we had it coming out of the 2991. That was insurance reserve, but the insurance reserve got rolled into the general fund, so now that's the right account number, is the general insurance reserve miscellaneous.
Yep.
On page 8, third way down, NDSU expense for 11,642. Remind me what that's for.
That's what I'm wondering if it is.
Do we pay that quarterly?
That would seem too high to be quarterly.
Well, we only pay half of it.
That's the,
Okay, right there. Yep, that county agent salary. And that is for, looks like July till December.
semi-annually. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
July 1st till December 31st.
July.
Yep. So, on page 15, how are we keeping track of the overtime budget in the sheriff's department?
If you look on the expense report that I.
Oh, here?
Yep.
It's in here. Oh, that marked on it.
And then go to two.
Page 4. So where do we sit as far as
Well, we've
$20,000?
used about a third of it,
Okay.
but it seems like there was some. Didn't we talk about this once before? Because it was kind of like a one-time event, he thought, earlier this year.
Yeah, because there's.
Because if you look at last month's, it looks like he make it just barely.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't.
Wasn't it high in January or something? Right off the
Something
gate?
happened.
Yeah, I wonder if people are sick and certain.
I don't remember what the deal was, but if you look at what's left in that the balance in there, and then subtract the $1,400 they spent last month, it comes out about right. As long as they don't have another hiccup like they did earlier.
This is your sheriff's.
Yeah, it's a little bit over, but,
Yeah.
I mean, it should be at 15,000.
Yeah, if
But it
it,
seemed like it was real high at the beginning of the year.
something happened, I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, we asked Bob about it at a prior meeting.
But actually, yeah, we did. So, well, actually, yeah. I suppose the last 2 weeks in December are part of this too.
Could be. I don't think so.
Okay.
Been moved by Dale to present the bills as presented. Is there a second to the motion? Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Review the monthly office reports. Anybody have any questions on the monthly office reports?
I'd move to approve them as presented.
Been moved by Sean to approve the office reports as presented. Is there a second to the motion? Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Was this zoning thing on the agenda?
It's under Wayne's stuff.
Okay. Wayne?
I guess I didn't see this, I haven't seen the zoning email before, but what I had received was from the same person, was road crossing requirements. And she's gathering road crossing requirements for an upcoming pipeline project, possibly. It'll be that 72-inch concrete freshwater pipeline. And I think last year there was another guy asked for the permitting process or what it would require to cross the road. I think if you had any crossing permits, approval process in place, and how the county handles road crossing permission, do you permit for county and township roads, or do the townships permit for themselves? This time we're just looking for information on the process as the alignment is not finalized. Any information you would share would be very helpful. I did try to contact, it was just this morning, a neighboring county just to see what Washoe County was doing, what kind of a fee structure they had, if they had anything, or permitting process. And could probably get an idea from that. It isn't something that's going to be done today, but we talked about it before, and we never really decided anything of any process other than they got the bore underneath paved roads.
If I remember correctly, that the discussion before was that it was pretty hard to make a decision on what the fees or the regulations would be when we don't know the scope of the project. I mean, what is our, how deep is it gonna go underneath the road, what are the, so in order to make a decision on what we're gonna require, we need to know what they wanna put here.
And then they were wondering how deep we required the pipe to go. But it
Well,
isn't.
Don't you think, Jamie? I mean, we can't give carte blanche to just putting a pipe in and then have, I mean, this is a major project.
Right. I think they need to have all, they should have all this information, as much money in as big as the project is. They should be able to let us know what's going on.
Because you don't know what impact this is gonna have on the Griggs County taxpayers. I mean, what does it take to maintain those roads if they, when they do that? And what are the repercussions from it? I don't know.
I think that's why, you know, like when they went with the pipeline over in Foster and whatever Barnes and whatever, they had a fee for every crossing, whether it was a township road or a prairie trail or whatever.
Yeah.
And that money then was supposed to be used then for the future if something settled, you know, where you had to haul in a few loads of gravel or something.
But
I think with the boring underneath the pavement, it's gonna be pretty deep, because you're gonna have to go under like 42 inches or so under the ditch level, I would think, and then go straight across, you know, through, so.
But there should be some ongoing maintenance costs. I mean, we can't go with a lump sum to start up front and then have this.
That would be a good thing to.
Yeah, I mean-
not have.
Where are they gonna dump it in?
Huh?
Where does it end?
Well, tentatively about 2 miles south of number one into the
Bald
coulee
Hill,
there.
right? Yeah.
Right, Jimmy?
Of 200, yeah.
F200, excuse me, yeah.
South of our place on the creek, about 2.5 miles south.
Yeah, about straight east of Sutton, basically, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that opens up a whole new can of worms.
I thought they determined they couldn't dump it in the creek and we're gonna go all the way to the.
No, that's, if they can't dump it into the creek, they're going all the way to the river, but the plan is to dump it into the creek. They need to acquire all the permits and then the land, because it's gonna render all that creek bottom useless. Because they're gonna fill it right to the level of the, it's gonna be saturated right to ground level.
At the last meeting of the Upper Cheyenne and Carrington, the Garrison Diversion gave a deal on the project, and they pretty much ruled out going down the Bald Hill Creek. Doesn't want to go there.
Oh, good.
Okay.
That lessens my
That means
angst.
they're probably gonna be crossing a lot more Griggs County roads then.
Yeah, so they must, their effort to secure rights to dump it into the creek must have failed. They must have wholeheartedly
There's
just got
something to
turned down.
do with the creek, on the Bald Hill Creek, and water qualities and different things. And it's only gonna cost 44 more million.
Yep. But I mean, the other thing to consider is how much are we as a county gonna support this if the majority of the landowners in Griggs County, we need to first see how it's gonna impact them. Are we gonna do something that's against the majority of the wishes of the landowners in Griggs County? I mean, we are after all serving them, so if the majority doesn't want this done, then I wouldn't be in favor of doing it.
Well, that might take care of itself if they can't get easements to do it.
I don't know.
I don't think they're gonna be asking for easements, so it's gonna go in the ditch. As far as I know.
Right down 200.
It's going south of Sutton, we've already acquired some easements.
Okay.
They have like 76% of them in place.
Yeah, the easements are done, a lot of them.
Then they're not going in our right away, or they'd have contacted us already. My feeling is similar to when they put the Keystone pipeline in across Steele County. The county didn't get involved, really. They might have got involved in the road crossings, but those guys came and offered enough for the easements so that the people let them cross, and that's just the way it was.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, if they've got the easements, but I mean, we still can't let the pipeline be a tax burden, a future tax burden to the taxpayers of Griggs County.
No.
Maintenance-wise, we
Oh,
have to
not-
put something in place that will take care of that.
Not
Well, you got to remember that this thing is going to be assessed too, John.
I know,
It's going to provide a tremendous amount of future revenue to the county.
I know. But you also have to remember that unless the project's completed, you know, the assessment still stays in place. The Garrison Diversion, those people are still paying for those assessments up there for the ditch and receiving no benefit from it.
So are we.
I know, but it's really bad up there where so they have a ditch that was supposed to provide revenue, and now it's just taking revenue. Gotta be careful on on how we go about this, because.
Right, but this isn't gonna be it isn't gonna be a surface structure like that.
No, but I mean, it's very possible they might not get connected, so it doesn't serve a purpose.
Another thing, they've abandoned that well, vertical and horizontal well, to supplement the water. That's been abandoned too, I think. Plus, they're gonna show a little bit of work, I think, in 2018, just a little bit. And then it's gonna go for several years before anything comes about.
And they've abandoned basically the drainage, reverse drainage fields for the source. They think they're gonna get a permit to take it right out of the river.
What?
The water for the pipeline.
Yeah.
See,
It'll come from Scottsville.
yeah, those underground drainage fields were because they didn't think they'd get a permit to take it out of the river.
Mhm.
So as long as they were below the level of the river, this 42 miles of drainage field basically was gonna supply it. And you think they've abandoned that now?
So far, yeah, that's what that meeting was all.
So maybe with the Trump administration, they figure the permitting process will go easier than take it right out of the river. Hope they don't mix it with that oil.
One of the questions was that why can't they take it from east of New Rockford? But that's all tied up with federal stuff, so that it just isn't gonna come out of there.
You can't.
Nothing else.
Well, that's been settled. That was settled in a lawsuit that you can't let water from one drainage, the eastern drainage, come into the western drainage come into the eastern drainage. But they think they can do it, still bring it across the drainage. If they don't file suit again, but there's already suits filed against it. But yeah, that's exactly why you can't let water out of the western half of the drainage of the United States into the eastern half, and the imaginary line goes right through North Dakota here. So that one will never.
It's not imaginary.
No, that went to the Supreme Court. That's settled.
That's
law.
gravitational.
There's no change in that. No, it's not imaginary. Theoretically, if you spit on the line, it would go half would go one way and half the other. But
Looks like
That isn't to say that they might change their mind, so don't.
oh, I know.
Don't, repeat what I said.
They are politicians, after all.
Yeah.
I can just answer her email and say, we haven't got a process in place yet, or we haven't decided.
What are you proposing? What are the specifications of the pipeline?
we know this. We need to know the scope of the project
Yeah.
before we can answer a question that's that broad.
And then also then the zoning, which we don't have zoning anymore.
Some of the townships do.
Yeah. Some of them do.
So is there conditional use permits? Dale, do you have zoning?
Not in Broadview Township.
Some sort of approval for a project like this? Wouldn't you guys
I don't think
almost
we need to answer any of that stuff till we're presented with what the scope of the project is. Because all they're doing, looking for is approval before we know, and then they'll just turn into a big mess and say, well, you guys approved it. We need to know exactly how it's going to impact the
I
college.
suppose they kind of want to know before they go through the whole process of going, okay, we've got as far as Griggs County, and Griggs County doesn't let us go across.
But don't you think we have the same right to know before we allow it to come across Griggs County?
But they don't even know, I guess, where
But I
it's
mean,
going to go.
because we're not requesting anything of them, they're requesting something of us. So let's see but they're being very vague about what they're requesting. They're not requesting anything. So let's see what they want to get. See what they want to do to us.
I won't answer it.
They're fishing.
Yeah, I'm sure they're fishing. I mean,
Okay,
so they can stand in front.
They
of
just want to know what the process is, and we don't have a formal process.
because we don't have a formal process because we've never dealt with a 72-inch pipeline before.
Right.
So we can tell them the process when they tell us what they're going to do. And if
you
it
want me to-
benefits Griggs County, then it probably should be done.
I would think the townships they have to get the township approval across there.
I
Right?
would imagine. I mean, each individual township can deal with it as they want, as each landowner can.
Do you want me to reply back to her, or Wayne, are you gonna say something to her?
Talking to me?
well, anybody, should I do anything? Should I reply back to her or?
I would say we should have short and simple. Until we know the scope and the specifications of the project, we're unable to answer your questions.
Okay.
The other thing I have is code 3 on that bridge up north. I talked to Jake about code 3 because he wondered exactly what required of it, and he said they had some other counties that
Sounded serious.
code 3 bridges.
Yeah.
So
Here's some pictures you can look at. Sounded very serious.
this is the one thing they're talking about is the concrete is far away from underneath the pipe on the end of the bridge.
This up by Ben and Carolyn's.
Over this end over here, there's a big crack about like that, but that's been there for quite a while. Somebody hit it with a piece of equipment.
Mhm.
There. I think they might have pushed it in a little bit, could have too. See these connector links between the different.
They're not doing anything.
Not doing too much. And then let's hit on that side too.
It's sketchy and bridge.
So what do they want done with
Too
it?
much crack. There's a crack on the other end of the west end. Basically, they
Well, basically, so with a code 3 alert, a lot of counties have them on their bridges, or a lot of the bridges really know. Basically, all they are requiring the county to do is to inspect it yearly. Basically, the second sheet, I think it is, has the list of things of why it is an alert 3. So what we've done on other bridges is measure those same things and report back to them if they've gotten, report back to them no matter what. Either they're the same or they've gotten worse. So,
What's the weight limit on this one?
I think it's 5 tons.
I mean, I suppose it's in danger of falling down, but I bet if we tried to tear it down, we'd have to use
Yeah, I
dynamite.
bet you.
some bridges that we've been watching on, we've been doing it for almost 10 years. So it's not like just because you have this alert code 3, it needs to be closed in a year or two. It's just, it needs to be monitored.
So does it need to be posted? Do we need to put signs on it?
They will tell us, DOT tells us when it needs to be, well, it should be signed already if it's only at 5 tons.
Oh, yeah,
It's
right.
not legal.
Yeah, it's fine.
Or if it's not.
5 tons.
Mhm.
So what do we need to do then to be in, to maintain our, so we're not liable for this thing?
Basically, just fill out the form that they sent and send it in.
And,
Saying what the conditions are, if they've changed, if they're the same. Yep, measure all the same things that they've measured and report back as to if they've gotten worse or if they've. Or, I mean, if it's really bad, I haven't seen procedures, and I'm not a structural engineer anyway, but if it's really bad, close it. Because obviously the last thing we want is something driving across it. One of our structural engineers did take a look at the pictures and said, I can't remember which beam it was, but he said it's in compression, one of the bottom ones, and it's not how it's designed to be. So that concerned him just from the pictures, but without seeing the bridge.
Yeah, well, a rounded one, if that's in compression, it's gonna try to make it more rounded. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I can't say, oh, it should be closed by the pictures or anything, or he can't, but he definitely said there's some concerns there.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's like,
We'll get pushed out to the height.
There's been nice chunks.
And
going
that's
up
that
against
big
the-
round.
Yeah. I called him today, but he wasn't in. He won't be until Monday. I was gonna get some more feedback from the non-official. If we know we have to measure it again now this year, I'm sure. And sent back in by July.
And that other letter is regarding special road fund projects.
Yeah, so that funding, I think we talked about it a little bit, maybe a year or two ago.
Yep.
It is for roads that provide access to recreational, tourist, and historical areas. And then the maximum amount of funding per project is $300,000 that they will cover, and it's a 60-40 match, so the county will have to pay 40% of the project. They cover 60% of the construction costs only.
Bridge going north.
It is a historical
It's
bridge.
historical.
It's probably on the Cheyenne Scenic Byway, isn't it?
And to replace that bridge, I think the last estimate that the guys had done is it would be around $1.2 million. So that funding wouldn't quite cover it.
No, wouldn't quite.
So if there's a project that within the county that would qualify, we can definitely submit an application. I think they award maybe 3 or 4 projects a year typically through that funding.
Is that 80%?
60 or 60%. They cover 60%.
Let's not look too hard. It's glaring.
Okay. Anything else, Wayne?
Like so, we've got a few culverts that washed out, where the road was washed out for several days. Got that fixed back up. Got to replace one on Silver Creek. Runs into Richard Walls, or that Walls through there. Gunderson. Right? Yeah, that's 4 foot there. It's must be rusted out. We filled it in several times, put fabric down. Now it's kind of bad. So I had my first crib meeting. She pointed me to
Becoming
that
a
board.
gang
Remember
member or
that
what?
board? Well. Next week, yeah, Devil's Lake. That's nothing to do with the statewide interoperability system.
Mm-hmm.
I'll report back.
Okay.
They've been having trouble getting funding, it looks like, so
We keep trying to raise speed limits.
they're gonna try to assess, money there, and they're gonna try to raise the phone fees. I think that's all been voted down. They were meeting on something today, I think, and they had rearranged, done something different with the funding portion. And that, I guess, started blade.
Yeah, that Macville Road, that turned out really nice after he bladed that.
Yeah. Gonna start working on, probably be pulling some shoulders on the ones that are gonna be gravel this year. Get that ready, get them ready.
With those projects, sounds like Gilbertson right now is planning on basically as soon as all restrictions come off, start the one he's got. And then the other contractor said he was planning to come mid-June. So obviously that's very preliminary at this point.
He serves his product.
Sounds, he told me, I didn't even ask him, he told me on the phone, he told me coming out of 2 pits. I don't know where, he didn't say where they were at or anything. With the code 3 alert, is that something you guys want KLJ to look at doing?
That's not something we can go measure. We need a structural engineer to go do that.
That's up to you, I mean, that's up to you.
Well, it's kind of up to the DOT. What
They
do
don't have a place for a professional engineer to sign that form on there.
Okay.
So I think it's it's up to the discretion of the county.
2 fingers in the crack plane.
I can measure the cracks.
What would it cost for you to have you guys do it?
What I would do, basically, it would be a trip up there, and then the time to analyze it, fill out the form, which wouldn't be much. So,
Your signature be on
no, it would be a structural engineer. I wouldn't do it.
it? I think we should have them do it. I mean, just from a liability standpoint. And we don't want to put Wayne or anybody else at risk here.
That's fine.
What I would do is I would set up an hourly contract, however many hours it takes to do it, with a maximum of $1,500, which I don't see it even using that whole amount. But basically, the trip up there and the cost to put the stuff together and send a letter to the DOT.
And we want that done annually then.
Yeah. They'll keep sending this letter until the bridge is closed
Okay.
or repaired.
Is there any other bridges or any other structures in the county that require the same?
No, this is the first one for Griggs, which is kind of surprising, actually.
Did we get a packet full of bridge inspections this time?
We don't have one.
Sounded like there would be other.
No,
Inspection sheets?
nothing in here.
I talked to that Fisher John one day, just to come back and say we're working on it. And he'll be measuring it and keeping track of it.
Okay.
That way you don't have to have the responsibility of it.
Thank you.
Not that there's a big risk, but it still shouldn't be a risk.
So I'll probably bring that to the next meeting, and then they'll get up. They like to do the inspections, but the river's a little lower. So typically,
I'm pretty high now.
You can't
your
swim.
time frame is kind of when they go out and do all these things.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Got those pictures, or did you put them, or?
Sean's got them somewhere, maybe.
Can I get a copy of that cost share on that road?
Yeah, I'll give you. Actually, have the for that funding source.
Mhm.
I don't have that. That's the whole
Okay.
program.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Have a good weekend.
Yep.
You
Good to
guys.
see you, Jake. Water board? Who's in charge?
Ellen is a better speaker. I think you a revised one for you guys that has a little bit more breakdown than the one I gave you originally.
Do we have copies?
But
Yes, for him.
Ellen and Marla have the information that you really want.
Okay.
I know we were asked to come to the meeting, and we don't really know what you want from us.
Well, part of it was, and I don't see it here, was the fund balances for the assessed drains.
Well, that's on our, Dale gets that once a month.
Right. But they what I saw, they had negative balances.
Yeah.
Okay. So an assessed drain is just that. It takes taxpayer dollars from a certain group of landowners.
Sure.
if we're using general tax dollars to fund those assessed drains, then we're using tax dollars from people that aren't benefiting from the drain to benefit for those that are. Those assessed drains should never have a negative balance, and the Century Code spells out pretty clearly that it's the county commission's job in order to look and make sure that there's sufficient funding in those assessed drain projects to keep going. If not, then the county commission is supposed to make those funds solvent again and then take future dollars from the tax levy of those assessed drains. So I think if I read that right now the total of negative balance of the assessed drains is $167,000. Does that sound right?
No.
The only thing is with the Thompson Bridge one and Silver Creek, they're not assessed yet.
That's
And
even
they
worse.
they have the biggest negative balances.
That's even worse.
And K1A is positive, and I think as of this month, I didn't bring this month's, Dale has his email, it's on there. It's a plus.
Is plus
Is that today?
13.5.
Oh, okay. That's positive, and Griggs County is not too far gone. That's $3,900 in the negative.
Okay.
But our understanding, which I don't know if Century Ford at all, I just write the checks, but that the petitioners contribute money up until the time that it is voted in as a drain, and then from that point on, that we take care of it until the assessment happens.
Using the forms of funding prescribed in the Century Code, but basically you're borrowing money from taxpayers that aren't benefiting from this drain. And so what should have happened is it should have been went to a local lending institution, which is the easiest form of doing this, and there should have been a construction loan taken out. Maybe Troy can explain this better than I can.
You're doing all right.
Once it was put to a vote and the voters agreed that this project was going forward, then there should have been, first step, there should have been an overall budget for this project. The overall budget for this project should have been presented to the county commission overall in your master plan, which I haven't seen. There's supposed to be a master plan, and then there's supposed to be every February, there's supposed to be an assessment of what was done last year and what's going to happen in the coming year. Then again, in June and December, you're supposed to give us financial statements that cover what you have done. We're supposed to compare that to the budgets that we approved. So you give us a budget, we look at it and we say, okay, yes, you're going to spend this much money on this drain, this much money here, this much money here, and we approve that. Then you're bound to that budget. And the way that we're supposed to check up on that is we're supposed to look at your financial statement and say, okay, here was the budgeted money, here's how they spent it. That hasn't been happening. The budgets look nothing like the financial statements. And there's been a whole bunch of money spent outside of the budget, if there ever was one, and there's been no planning put forward for these drains. So now let's get back to the process. So once that budgeting process is done and the county commission says, yes, I think you can spend the money, we're going to levy this, and here's how it goes. Then you move forward within those budget constraints, not outside them. The budget, you don't use the budget money as a whole. You use it as it's divided up into its individual line items. And if there's not money in the budget for this year, then it doesn't get done. So now we have this project. Let's just say we have the Bald Hill drain out there, or the bridge drain, and it's been okayed by the taxpayers, assessed landowners. Now they should have went to a lending institution and presented, here's the money that we're going to need, here's the money that we have available when it's all said and done, here's the maximum that we can assess to this drain. And they should have started a construction fund, a construction loan fund. Should have drawn on that the whole time through. When it was all said and done, that construction loan fund should have been rolled into a long-term loan. And
we can't borrow money against this drain until we get all the permits and make sure that's going through.
Absolutely, but you have borrowed money against it. You've borrowed it from the taxpayers of Griggs County against their wishes.
It's my understanding the law, once this passes, the water board has to cover the expenses, what I've read, but maybe
What-
our attorney can get,
If the county commission had granted you the money to cover those expenses, but you never presented us with the option of that, you never gave us a budget saying you were gonna do it, and of course, I would have said no. Why would I want some little old lady in Cooperstown paying for a drain out here she's not gonna benefit from?
Silver Creek is the same thing, it says we're negative. But basically on Silver Creek, all we're doing is putting in culverts to handle the water. If this legal rain doesn't go through, it eventually falls back to the county to pay for all these culverts instead of the landlord and so on.
Well, that very well might be, but that is not how the process works. There has to be a check and balance here. The money, the money that is allocated to do this, the taxpayers need to be assured that their money is being spent towards their wishes. And for certain, the drain is a good idea. The drains are a good idea, but only the people that are going to benefit should pay for it. And when you're using general tax dollars because you haven't specified your budget and let us look at the budget and say, okay, yes, that's correct, that's the way to do it, you've stepped outside. And now we have a lot of tax dollars at risk. The Silver Creek drain, for instance, what happens if that fails? The money that's been spent has been spent,
Yep.
and there's no revenue stream to replace it, so now the taxpayers are on the hook for all that money.
Well, part of the money is, the landowners put up some money in there to begin with.
Yeah, but an inappropriate amount, it wasn't spread equally amongst them all.
Yeah.
That money that the landowners put up, that is the same thing as a construction loan.
Yeah.
That has to be guaranteed. That should have been guaranteed with warrants. There should have been 3-year warrants, temporary warrants issued on that thing, and they're bound. That is bound by the water board, and in turn bound by Griggs County. So if that thing failed, let's just say one of these failed that has individual landowners put up the money for it, what recourse do they have?
I want to get back to the beginning. When you start a legal drain, you have to have at least, I think it is 6 landowners or more to sign a petition. And then they have to put up so much money, which is called a bond. And which happened there at Silver Creek, there's quite a bit more money. I don't know, you know much how.
All the landowners put up 12,500.
There's 12,000, the landlord's money, and then, it goes up or down, one of the ways you go. But then you had mentioned about going to the bank, and I've called all the banks, and that's changed. Now they want a packet and everything. They just don't, on a phone call or going in there, they don't want that.
Well, I agree.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that this can be done. If the rules dictate that you have to have a budget, and the bank wants verification and wants to be able to make sure they get their money paid back, then that's what has to happen. But the taxpayers cannot be at risk for this, and that's what's happened here. And I don't know how. And the Century Code is very explicit with these negative balances. The county commission is supposed to step in and make them solvent, and then we are supposed to leverage any money that the water board gets to pay off those loans first.
Well, if you take, like the Griggs County drain here.
Yep.
They're bound to, by agreement to pay $5,000 a year into a maintenance deal. And that's supposed to get worked up to 30,000. Well, we had it up to 20s here or something, wherever it goes, I'll have to look. And then last fall, we did this cleaning, and $32,000. So that's what the final bill was. And that took care of everything that was in there, plus some that we had to make up.
The Cooperstown drain, their commitment there is kind of I'll call it unique. Why in the world the water board went and borrowed the money and then had Cooperstown making payments to them, and why in the world there's this $5,000 gentleman's handshake agreement that Cooperstown is going to make payments when there is a provision to levy. You could have made special assessment against Cooperstown based on need. And I know maybe it wasn't you guys involved here, but you can levy against a government entity not based on ownership of land, but based on need and benefit.
And that's all in there. So these things should never, ever, ever move forward until we're assured that if they fail, that the failure falls in the lap of the people that started them, the $12,000 that was put out. That is money at risk. After that, there should not be any money at risk.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, that, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think I don't think this is the end of this. I think we just need to be very. We need to get this thing back in a place where now we can pay back these funds. As if that drain is, if there is, I don't know what the total is now. Dale, what's the total of the indebtedness of all the drains?
Of all the drains?
Yeah, I thought it was $167,000. So.
It's right here. You wanna see it there?
No, just if you just, I mean, what I'm saying is each one of those drains now,
It's like 947.
76.
Okay. Okay, so-
There's a drain balance.
it's 37. Okay, so as those monies come in, as monies comes into those drains, that's the first thing that has to be paid back before there's one shovel full of dirt moved.
Yeah, that's after you can borrow money, then.
Well, not even borrow. I mean, when these drains that are underwater right now, so to speak, underwater, if money comes in, taxpayer dollars come in for those, these balances need to be made solvent again. And if there's no money to spend, money cannot be spent. Because this has to be laid out in a budget, and I don't think that this board is gonna allow your budget to go through if you're spending taxpayer dollars on assessed drains. At least I'm not. And the Century Code is strictly against that.
The assessments too, see, they have, it's like $1 an acre for maintenance, and now we up Karnak to $1.50, and we go.
You can go to 4.
Two,
Yeah, you can go to 4.
pardon?
You can go to 4.
Yeah. Up to, you have to have, if you have so much on hand, then you have to quit.
Yep.
So, see, they weren't taking care of it.
I know.
And when you do a drain, and anybody with a contractor, I've got a formula that says anything that happens, it's gonna take it times 2. That's what's gonna happen.
I know.
They're gonna come up with something. Well, then here you've got more money. Well, then, in the meantime, you've got the assessment coming in, which isn't enough to cover that. So you either gotta up the assessment, or it's already happened, so what are you gonna do? Well, you can't do it anymore. You've done the construction already, and this TB04 is like $1,300,000, I believe. That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that the contractors bid way lower than that. We're hoping.
Right.
And the banks here, that when you go to them, they aren't going to participate fully. They're going to probably participate together on that if they're going to do it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So you do the drain and you end up owing a bunch of money. That's what it comes to, and that assessment doesn't take care of it.
But you know what the answer then is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You don't do the drain.
Yeah, but we didn't even know when we did this cleaning here, it had to be clean, so we just told them to clean it. Here comes a bill, it's $32,000. I couldn't believe it.
I sympathize with your position, but it is just like me having money in my checkbook, X amount of dollars, and I want to do a project over here that there's more money. I don't have enough money in my checkbook. I can't do it because we're taking money away from people that are receiving no benefit and count on the county commission to be stewards of their tax dollars. And it's pretty hard to justify to one of my constituents up in Binford why I'm spending their tax dollars on a drain in southern Griggs County that doesn't benefit them one dime.
I don't know, I would disagree with that. I think anybody in Griggs County benefits from anything that goes on the drain, if you ask me. I've always thought that.
Well, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, but the reason these are assessed drains is because the people that benefit directly for them are the ones that pay for them. And yes, an overall civic benefit possibly, but it's hard to put a dollar figure on that.
So if we go and borrow the money, then that assessment is going to go on for longer again than to pay for that borrowing. Then that's what's going to happen.
That's the way it's supposed to happen.
Yep. Yeah. If that's where you want to do it, we'll do it that way.
We don't want to. We're bound by the century code here to not spend money. We cannot give general tax dollars to these assessed projects. That's the reason they're a special assessment. And I'll take last year's budget for example. There was $4,100 for engineering costs in there. Well, you guys know full well what you spend on engineering costs over and above that. That can't happen.
4,100 for what?
That's just what it says. It says engineering costs, $4,100.
For a drain?
No, in the budget, and look how much was spent on engineering costs. I mean, I can add up the engineering costs you guys have spent in the last 3 years, and there's no way in the world does it come close to being budgeted money for the last 3 budgets.
Well, that was for Silver Creek is one of them.
Yeah.
And that hasn't come about yet.
I know, but we're spending money on something that isn't guaranteed. We're putting the taxpayers at risk here, guys.
So what do you want done then? You want us to go and borrow the money, or who's gonna pay the interest then? We're gonna?
I mean, you can't borrow money until it's passed, so basically you can't borrow money.
How are we gonna solve it?
To me, isn't the money that the landowners put up to get the thing going, once you get to the point where it's past the vote of the landowners, now you have something to assess, right? So
Not until you get all the permits from the state Corps of Engineers it can't be built, but you kind of assume it's gonna be built. That's why the states, we're supposed to put up the money after the vote is passed.
Go ahead.
We're, the one drain, Silver Creek, we're stuck with 2 lawsuits until we're just sitting dead in the water. I think after we get past the first one, we'll probably get the second one settled, without too much. But and it's the Corps and the NRCS. They can't decide who's got jurisdiction. So there you sit.
There should not have been a dime spent on this until everything was in place, because that's the only way to assure that you could be able to repay the money. And I know you're going to say we could never have done it. Well, then you shouldn't have done it.
But the final bill, if the Silver Creek doesn't pass, the final bill does come to the county. And that's probably $400,000 worth of culverts. Basically in Griggs County, what we're doing is just putting in culverts to handle the water.
But then that should go through the county budget.
What?
You can't go spend $400,000 as a water board and then say, here, the county, here's the $400,000 bill.
No, but
that's not the way it's supposed to work, Eric.
No, but if Silver Creek doesn't go through, who's gonna pay for the culverts? Legally, it falls back on the county.
If the water board doesn't secure the funding for the projects, you're right. That's why we're nervous. That can't happen that way.
No, but this is just to put in water that's coming, and we're slowing the water down, and Silver Creek, we're trying to then put in culverts to handle that water. If this Silver Creek doesn't fail, it already needed those culverts. It needs it now.
I think also that the county, the last time I saw your budget was $50,000 for culverts. That only takes care of about maybe 2 culverts, big ones. You gotta have more in your budget than for that. Is it 50,000 yet?
I don't know. The road superintendent presents his budget to us. We don't create his budget.
And what he does, he comes to the township, comes to the water board, and wants us to pay for culverts.
Okay, so then those culverts should be in your budget request to us. The notion that if there's $400,000 in culverts that had to be put in, if they had to be put in, then they should have been put in your budget and presented to the county commission, and the argument made that you needed $400,000 worth of culverts. The way you've done it here is you've leveraged the county commission. You've spent taxpayer dollars and now put the county at risk of having to pay that without the safeguards that are inherent in the system. So I understand your argument, but you have to fall back on the whole notion that if the money's not there, you can't spend it. This charging forward without the permits in place and without all the necessary I's dotted and T's crossed cannot happen anymore, because now it's put us in a precarious position. What are we going to do when these accounts need to be made whole? We don't have a budget provision for that because we were never presented with it.
Well, if the drain goes through, then you take the money and apply it.
Correct. Yep.
That's what we've done before.
Right. If. but if you look at previous drains, that they weren't assessed enough, or there wasn't enough management where they're underfunded, then the mindset has always been, well, something's got to be done, we'll just go ahead and do it. The mindset has got to be, do we have enough money to do what we're going to do, and did we project that? Have we already been allocated that money? Because the only recourse for the county commission is to not fund the water board. If you're going to spend money against our wishes, then we just can't give you money. And I mean, that isn't us being mean. That's us standing up for the people that we take the money from, which is every one of us. And every other, whether it be the senior citizens or the library or other, they all present us budgets of what they need. We okay it, and then they spend the money accordingly. The water board hasn't been doing that. The water board is a little different. Some of the other budgets, money that's left over comes back to the county. The water board budget, once it's okay, that money stays with the water board to be used as they see fit for the purposes that were defined. So you don't have to give money back at the end of the year if you didn't spend it. It stays in those funds and you can use it accordingly, which is nice. And you're a hybrid. You get to make the decisions on where the money is spent. You just have to come to the county and ask for the money to be put in those accounts, and then you make the decisions on where it should be spent.
Another thing on them drains, when you first start them and you complete them, within a year or two, you have to have maintenance. You know, so you have to put that maintenance on almost immediately, just right away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in order to get money worked up, and maintenance isn't cheap anymore.
No, it is not.
Yeah.
And such is the fight over water.
Yeah.
When can the assessments be levied? As soon as the vote is taken, or after construction commences?
I think you need all the permits
Well,
first, and we don't.
before you can levy it, even if it's been voted on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we don't even have the permits yet total on T-104, do we? Do we have them all?
Permits?
Yeah.
No, we're still waiting on the Corps of Engineers and State Water
Yeah.
Commission.
It has to be, from what it states in the Century Code, it's called a statement to proceed, which basically has signed off on that you have sign off on everything and you can move forward. And until that, there shouldn't be any money spent, other than the money that can be at risk by the landowners that are willing to be put at risk.
And then Cooper Drain I was gonna bring up too. This year is the last year of the payment.
I know.
Yeah, 10,898.13,
Yeah.
and we did it for 10 years, so this is the last year.
Yeah. You know, but in the future, you have the right to assess a municipality, a government entity, based on
Their benefit.
use and benefit. So what you could have went in and said, okay, Cooperstown as a community is going to benefit X amount of dollars for this, and you can assess that to them, and they have to pay it.
Well, they took it out of their, whatever fund they have here for extra.
Yeah, but they just
That's
did it
where
on a
it came-
year-by-year basis at the whim of whoever was in charge there. They wouldn't have to pay it. You don't have any binding documents
Oh,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah, I've got it right here with me. It's a bond of indebtedness or letter of indebtedness. It's all the same.
They can't issue that because they can only issue a budget for a year at a time. That's worthless. It's not as worth as the paper it's written
Well,
on.
you gotta get it in order to get money out of the bank, we had to get that.
I know, but it's not worth the paper it's written on, because the same as we can't budget for more than a year ahead of time, because we can't indebt future commissioners to monies that they might not agree to. So that's the reason for a bond. So a letter of indebtedness will work.
It's a certificate of indebtedness.
Certificate.
Yeah.
Some question whether it's a bond of indebtedness,
They-
or it's a
yeah.
loan, one of the two.
The century code says warrants. They want warrants issued, which is kind of a hybrid between the two of them,
Yeah.
correct?
I don't know.
There's temporary warrants and there's long-term warrants, and then they have a secured funding source that they can draw from if,
Yeah, that's, actually, they take a mortgage on it, that's what they do.
basically, yep,
On the
yep,
assessment.
yep, yep,
Mhm.
yep. So I guess my question is, how are we gonna get these funds back to a positive balance, and how are we gonna keep them there?
Drains have to go through, so you can borrow the money. If the drains don't go through, you know you aren't getting your money back. So, you saying you want us to quit working on these drains, or you want us to keep going and get them approved? I mean,
Unfortunately, we don't have the authority to tell you what to do. All we have the authority to do is to control the money that we give you. We can't tell you what to do.
Well, I can tell you when the people first came about TB04, what was it, 4 people?
I wasn't there.
They came, and I don't know if you were there, Dale, but they proposed to pay for the whole thing themselves. And then it got to be more money, and pretty soon here, then it started to be assessment district then.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, they were gonna pay for it. So that's where that started out.
That started in 11.
Based on the budget you put forward, it's supposed to be, I've been trying to coax your chairman into fixing this for the last 3 years, and he kept assuring me that he was going to, and he was going to, and he was going to, and then I keep looking, and it gets worse and worse and worse.
Well, I guess when I sent to you on a monthly basis, and I guess I thought you were our person that were, you know.
Well, I hadn't read the century code either, so
Oh.
as
So,
Okay.
water board members,
you know, yeah, go ahead.
I was going on the premise that when you speak to your lawyer and that these things are done in the way that it's supposed to be according to the century code, that hasn't.
Ask him if he's read the century code.
That hasn't exactly been what's taking
Right.
place.
Okay.
I have a conversation with Tom too.
Mm-hmm.
I would sure like to.
You can't get a straight answer out of that man.
Maybe you need a new lawyer.
Yeah, I would sure like that. But I mean, the pertinent century codes as far as our dealings, the county commission's dealing with the water board are in 61, 16.125 and 61, 16.106.
I handed those out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, is that what you did?
So
Yeah,
it's 61, 16.1-25.
Okay.
Yeah, well, there's, some of them don't deal with it, but I mean, it doesn't matter. The water board century code is,
Oh, this is,
It's 16.106, right?
06, yep.
You gotta go on.
I did.
well, where do we go from here then?
Again, all we can do, our only control over you is the money. I mean, we can't come in and fix anything. You guys gotta fix it, and that's kind of what the purpose of this is to give you a heads up that it needs to be fixed, and then you'll have to tell us how you're gonna fix it.
Okay.
The only other thing that I could think of is if we ran the funds through the auditor's office, just like we do the rest of the county. I mean, if it was treated kind of like a department, like if Wayne spends money or any other department in the county spends money, it goes through the auditor's office, and then she presents us, well, you guys were here when she presented us with the warrants for the month or for the 2-week period or whatever, since we've had our last meeting. We look at them, approve them, she writes the checks. It just, everything runs through the county treasury for all those different departments, but that would be the only thing that,
Well,
you know,
that would be a cost savings to the water board. That would be a real good check and balance, because that process starts with putting this year's budget amount into the software. So let's just say there's a $100,000 budget, and let's just say for argument's sake, there's 5 line items of $20,000. So Samantha presents the county commission with a bill and it's out of line item 2, and it's for $5,000, and we look and say, oh, well, there's $20,000 in there, and this is a worthwhile expense, we okay it. If she presents us with a bill for $25,000 and there's $15,000 in there, we say, well, what happened here? We're not paying this, where is this authorized? That only happens once, because no one spends any money again until they look at their budget and decide whether or not that's a worthwhile expense. And then we don't allow, other than special exceptions, taking from one line item to put to another. The overall budget number is not what it has to be spent in increments on the line item. And it's not to be mean to anybody, it's just to somehow maintain control of the money that's being spent, and that there was some forethought into how that money is going to be spent. It wasn't just, we need something done and write the check. Because I can do that, you can do that, but we shouldn't be doing it with other people's money.
It's the same thing though. He talked about, Wayne was talking about putting culverts on some township. Part of that's my money too, part of that, I don't have anything to say about that. It's the same thing.
No, it isn't. It's the road department budget overall. So you benefit from the road department budget in some effect.
I do?
Well, doesn't somebody do your, well.
You got
we won't get into that.
Woodland Sutton Road.
I shouldn't have said it. I got it.
That hasn't been bladed ever this spring.
I got it.
And the one in Barnstable has been bladed 3 times already.
I stuck my foot in my mouth there.
Same way as the Hampton. Same thing, there's trucks going up and down there just there.
I know.
They're coming.
Okay, we'll bring it back to the board meeting. We got a board meeting next Wednesday.
Would you guys be in favor of just of you okaying the bills according? I mean, first of all, we need a solid 2017 budget. We've been getting preliminary budgets and we allocated the money, but there is no solid budget that I've seen. And certainly the 16 budget didn't come close to what was written in 16. Wasn't what was spent in 16. It was really different.
What you're asking then, you want say Cooperstown Tire Road. You want a column there, and you want a budget for so much, and then you want the items checked off on how much is spent. Is that what you want on each one of the drains? You want each to work on that?
Each drain is supposed to have its own budget, and then in the budget you turn into us, it's supposed to be a line item. So it should be tie roll drained, and then each drain should have a budget for your own purposes. So when you deplete the money out of the main budget,
yeah, and the budget, then the beginning budget would be your assessment, whatever the assessment is, right?
and the current balance, or lack of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But see, the budget is just the ability to spend money, and so it's not a funded. I mean, it's not funded. You can spend that much money; it'll be funded up to that point. Where you start here is getting them back to zero somehow.
If you get the drains approved, you can get them back to zero. That's
Right.
the way.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to quit doing anything now.
Right.
When you're almost done with them.
If we quit TBO for it, we're gonna have to quit.
It's pretty hard to unring the bell on these drains that are in
Process.
under construction.
Well, right, and they have money in your checking account. We don't have the ability to claw that back.
I was gonna ask you a question too. How about the county? All your budgets plus, or are they some minus?
Well, we don't have the ability to run a negative balance.
Don't have any negative balance?
No, we don't have we always put where is it?
The way this software works, like this expense report we get, it shows what the month-to-date expenses were, the year-to-date expenses, the budget, and then the difference. So every time, if one of these budgets goes negative, if something happens that you didn't know was going to happen,
Yeah.
you blow up a car or a truck or something, blows up your repair budget, we can move money from one budget to another at the end of the year. We can amend the budget.
Yeah.
So if something is running and with a negative balance, it can be that way until the end of the year, and then we have to fix it before then we close the year out. So we just hope that there's not very many of them, you know, and generally there aren't, but I mean, it can happen.
And, yeah, and we budget 2 emergency funds, one for natural emergencies, and then we budget one in the general fund for things like this. And we try to keep the one at 170,000, the other one at 150. So if we don't use any of it, we don't budget anymore, it just stays there. And that is for, yeah, copier breaks, or somebody hasn't been close enough on their budget, and so it's not, it isn't exact, but there's no huge cost overruns. There's not, you know, it sticks pretty close. Of course, there's gonna be times when it doesn't, but
You see that in the paper from the minutes of the cities and that they draw from one to supplement the other one or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that doesn't happen sometimes. I'm just saying that isn't a very prudent way to be dealing with other people's money.
A lot of times it's just hard for us to plan too. You never know when you're gonna get a complaint, or you're gonna have to, you know, put in culverts or like.
But you don't, see, I think it's a mindset. You
can
don't
plan
have
for
to do
next
it. You do not have to do it.
Yeah, you don't have to do it, but then you don't get anything done either.
Plus, like a culvert deal, I mean, you're budgeting for that, so that you do have the ability to take care of some things that are unforeseen there. We're more worried about these assessed drains and that, because that's where the big dollars are spent, and whether or not the county, if the county gets put at risk on those if they do fail, and the county does have to fund those things, then there's gonna be less money to do those other deals, you know.
But, you know, like Silver Creek has a 38, you know, it's in a whole lot much.
Right.
No, the county has a liability for those culverts on Silver Creek. You know, they had it 5 years ago. We're just trying to do an illegal drain so we can, the landowners and the state will help pay for this.
Right.
Otherwise, the liability does fall to you guys. You know,
There's no other work being done, just culvert replacements? I mean, I'm not familiar with the project.
well, when's you gonna get done? I can show you the plans for it.
Because why would you have to have engineering and all that kind of stuff if it's just
But in
replacing
Barnes County,
culverts?
we're trying to do water retention to slow the water up
Oh,
before it gets to us, so it doesn't take many culverts.
But, yeah, but Eric, you can't obligate the county to something unless that money has been allocated to the project. You keep saying we would have the responsibility. No, the county wouldn't have the responsibility until the county says, okay, we're willing to spend that money. That's the problem.
But state law says the county is responsible for culverts on natural.
Well, I've never been presented yet where the state comes and says we have to do this or have to do that without them paying for it. We got to get past the notion that this has to be done. It can only be done if there's money, and that's the way it has to be.
I see your point. We should
Yeah.
come to you on Silver Creek first to explain.
Well, it's not us. It's the tax. We just represent the taxpayers.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if you would understand from the start, you know, then
right.
I think you would have been okay with it.
Yeah, right. And the other big concern I have is this professional work done without a contract or without a budget. I mean, there is, let's say $200,000 worth of engineering costs over the last 2 years here. That I don't see a contract. I don't see nothing. I don't see an estimate. How can that be? How can we let that go? I mean, we can't. And it's the one engineering firm, and I mean, we've already way busted the state guy. I mean, you have to have bids anything over $100,000, and we've way busted that wide open. And I assume, I would hope not, but I assume you're still writing them checks.
I think it'd just be for the bidding part of it, no, as far as I know.
Bob called me the other day and they have to submit a report to get to the state water board to get some other approval, and that has to be signed by the PE.
Okay, yeah, and the Corps engineer just the other day asked for more information too, so
Because evidently they don't share information with each other.
Core in the state.
Yeah, according to the state. Each have to get their own report, and they won't hand one from one office to the next.
Just depends upon where your folder is, if it's on top of the file or on the bottom, but that's what it all depends on how they work on that.
Yeah.
They've got the money to do anything, and they know we don't. You know. And we've got to keep on fighting that and just keep going and going. Okay, we'll discuss it, is that okay?
Yeah, again, it's either gotta get fixed or it's gonna have to be, I would hope you would discuss letting the auditor take over the payment of the bills, so,
That means giving up the checkbook?
absolutely.
A lot of the bills might get paid late that way, that's all.
That's what's going on in Barnes County, and nobody likes it down there. There's only
Other than the taxpayers.
There's only one other county that does that.
Yeah, well, put it this way, it's gonna happen either way. If you have negative balances like this, we have to come in and make them whole. So all that'll happen is we'll just withhold the money from your next year's budget, or the end of next year's and the next year. So it's gonna happen either way, it doesn't make a difference. So without cooperation here, the funding source will have to be dried up because we have an obligation to make these drains whole. So,
I would say that, you know, the other counties that we have, instead of having one meeting a month, we've decided to have 2 short meetings a month, so we don't have that trouble with bills being paid late, as a rule. You know, I remember when we first got elected, that was constant. Somebody was calling, oh, I got this bill in the mail and it's due in 2 weeks. We just decided to have meetings every other week, and so that doesn't really present itself anymore.
That's what we have, now we're gonna start in April, 2 meetings a month now.
I mean, we're here to help you fix it, but it's gonna get fixed with your help or not. And so if you don't wanna cooperate with us and let us have some understanding of the money being spent, then it'll have to go another way, but it's gonna get fixed. And it can be real easy to fix it, or it can be just a mess.
Oh, what do you mean by real easy?
Well, if you'll just, I mean, let this thing get rolled in so that there is actually some fiscal control on the money being spent. Let's have an open discussion on the dollars that are going to be spent before they're spent. Let's not just have this, okay, we spent the money and now somebody's got to pay for it. The taxpayers of Griggs County deserve to know where their money is going, and they do not deserve to be treated well. The money's been spent and now you guys got to pay for it. And the only way to fix that is to give it a more open atmosphere so that everybody can look at it, or cut off the funding.
Yeah, I see your point.
Yeah.
Legal drains from now on.
And
I'll stick around till your meeting gets done if somebody wants to look at Silver Creek.
I don't have any reason to look at it because it's either going to get fixed or not.
It's already, I mean, it's so far along now, you guys are gonna have to try to make it happen now.
We're gonna have to keep going, you think, the center,
Well, I don't know what other choice you have,
or stop? One of the two, we can stop too.
you know? Then we
can't-
know what'll happen,
We can't tell them to do either one.
right? So, okay,
Okay.
thank you guys.
To me?
Hi, Travis.
Hello. Got estimate from Metro Watchman to finish up the panic button system in the courtroom, or the courthouse. I think actually we need to make that 12 units. I forgot this room to have one, I guess, so.
Why do we need one in here?
In case there's I'm assuming every room we want to have a button in, right?
Nobody's in here, I mean.
Well, I mean, it's for meetings or something right now, to have for Samantha have one, I guess. The 11 is for each desk in the courthouse to have one. Then. So we currently have 13 buttons. That'll get us 24 then.
So every employee's got one.
Every desk will have one. Yeah, every employee will have one. So then they're numbered and then they're labeled. So when a button gets pressed, it actually says auditor's office or treasurer's office and all that when the call comes in to issue this permit.
So they can't bring it in this room.
You can, but the button's tagged to a room. You know, when it's labeled in the system, I guess.
So what's the response time? It goes direct to Watchman and it comes to you?
Yeah, it's almost instantaneous. It's like when you call 911.
We did a test on it when we were first getting this set up a couple weeks ago, and I would say within 30 seconds, Wes got a call that the button had been pressed. So
We get them for everything in the hard house. Any trouble with the HVAC and all kinds of things.
and then this is for them to come in and finish up too. There's that line item. They didn't get a chance to finish putting the repeater in the hallway, so the buttons actually don't work on the east side of the building right now because they're too far away. So. But they said they would come in and that's no charge for putting that in because it should have been put in place when they're first installing it. But
What are your wishes, fellas?
So we had how many before?
we currently have 13 units.
Oh.
But the system wasn't finished or wasn't installed completely when the system or when the construction was shut down. The buttons themselves actually don't work once you get past the courtroom.
We currently have 13 and you're gonna get 12 more?
Yeah. So we have 25 total for this room. The 11 would do 24. Then I'll say I forgot about this room, I guess. So the 12 will get us to 25 then.
Is it one for your office?
My thought on that, I guess, and it's just like I said, this is opinion of it. It's just, you know, if there is an emergency, you're looking for a button, or you know, it's on that desk or it's in that drawer. You know, having it set up where every desk has the button, it's installed in a similar location. Every employee knows where the button's at then too. So.
Samantha couldn't go, Lori, push a button.
I mean, hopefully they never have to be pushed, but I kind of want to. You know, what's the? I mean, it's up to you guys' wish. I guess what you want, how you want to have it set up. I guess, but.
What's your thoughts, Jamie? What's the liability of it?
I suppose we're supposed to provide a safe workplace for everyone. I don't know.
At this point, we're providing a safe workplace for half the people, so.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I suppose, thank you. I suppose if we provide it for one person, not the other person, and something happens where the person that wasn't provided for it gets hurt or something happens, and they wouldn't be able to say, well, could I hit a button?
The maintenance cost on the units is just the coin cell battery every 3 years, so you know, it's just a one-time cost to have them come out and program them up, and the cost of the unit, I guess.
Having it in this room, the water board is going to be in here if you wanted to have one in here too. Just saying.
You think they're at risk?
Then I would feel.
They are now.
More so than any other department.
I mean, that would be another
I think
reason.
putting them in is a risk. We don't have them in the bank because all it does is escalate the situation if somebody dives for their button.
Yeah.
Give them what they want and get them out of it.
Yeah. But of course, it's a little different.
That's a little different. They're coming in for money.
Coming here, what they
Probably
want is somebody's
personal.
hide.
Maybe.
I guess I have one in Lakota. I don't know if it is working or not right now. It's blinking red at me constantly, so I'm guessing my battery's
That's what's different with this system.
Push it,
too.
dude.
Yeah, this system is a two-way communication with the buttons. The buttons themselves report back to the central system, And we'll actually get maintenance calls, like they'll say button number 23 needs a battery replacement, or it's out of range. We actually had that happen. They called and said some of the buttons we had over on the east side of the building were out of range, and therefore we're talking back to it. So Electro Watchman, that I think we pay a yearly fee with them, if I'm not mistaken, for the security
I'm sure
alarm
you
system. That's what's part of that too, is just to make sure everything is functioning and working.
So how much more does it cost?
It'd be another $50, so $900 if we get the 12 units. The one for this room that I didn't include.
I make a motion, we give us all buttons.
Been moved by John to approve the completion of the Electro Watchman panic button purchase. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by
Where
Dale.
are we gonna mount it?
The antenna's gonna be mounted in the hallway. We have one unit already.
No,
The buttons themselves, we're thinking just underneath the desks. They get Velcroed on there. We'll be talking, I guess that's where the other ones, the old courthouse, they're all just underneath the desks that are.
So you can mount it over there.
Well, in this room, I guess I'm not certain what would be the best.
Now that concealed carry, I got my own Electro Watchman with me. It's not hooked up to nothing.
Not even the top floor of the elevator.
I'm just getting bothered.
I got mine.
You're not always here. You're not always here.
Tape on your desk.
And I have to admit,
Does it have its own repeater?
well, I have to admit, I feel safe now, but at times I was kind of made me nervous you carrying the gun around me.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. There's business and personal.
I'm just kidding.
Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
Any other questions, or we're good?
Good.
I have one question for Samantha. How come you got this huge room and you got us slammed against the wall?
I never realized that. I will push you out.
Doesn't it seem pretty tight there? Somebody need to
Yeah.
walk back there?
Yeah.
Or do you guys play shuffleboard out in front there when we're not here?
No. We'll push you out. Sorry.
See you, Travis.
Okay, I'll just dive in here. I gotta go take care of some business here quickly, so. DES, the last reimbursement was ready to be sent. FEMA notified the state of North Dakota the time cards that FEMA was using through the state of North Dakota were okay, except for the people in the part-time emergency management position. So they've developed a new time card that makes, I suppose, the IRS forever happy. So I gotta redo those, and I hope to have that on Sam's desk Monday so they can sign off on the time card part, and that'll go in. And we'll be reimbursed for October, November, December, and I'll try and add January and February to that. So we should have that check, I'm assuming, in about 2-3 weeks for that. The new EMPG money, I got an email yesterday from Debbie Lacombe. The feds haven't sent out the application process yet, and that varies every year by a month or 2 or something. But something new this year with FEMA, they want the state sent out letters of intent if the county is going to pursue EMPG funding, and a second letter for the responder agencies in the county if they want to pursue SHSP money. That would be grant funding for equipment or training. So I need to get those out to the responders. I'll have that those dropped off this weekend. So I guess my question is, do you guys want to pursue the EMPG funding and continue the DS program? That's, if you so, I'm going to sign that letter and send them off an email today.
What is that?
It's what reimburses for the emergency management program. It's either yes or no. So
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Why not?
if we're going to continue it, might as well
Yep.
do it. So I'll get that letter sent out. That's the DES stuff you're wondering about. I'll get into the old courthouse. Like I you guys asked me to do, I made contact with the State Historical Society and tried to arrange a meeting with them. And they said, yeah, possibly, we'll get back to you on that. And I talked to Lorna. She's would be one of the head people out there. And I explained to her that what I told her is Griggs County is now in the new courthouse. The commissioners are being asked repeatedly what the process is for what the plan is with the old courthouse, and that we're just looking for information so they can talk intelligently to the people that are asking questions. So I asked her, they would like to know the process to go forward to demolish the courthouse if it's decided to do so and the voters vote on it. And very clear to her what I was asking her, and basically what I got back, I'll just read it to you quick here. This is where things were at. By the time we were done talking for 2 minutes, she was hyperventilating. It says, Bob, as you asked during our telephone conversation yesterday, I am sending out a list of possible ways the building could be reutilized, and we would consider that our concern is not just for the historic structure, but more about its usability and what it's going to be used for in future renovations. And she goes, we suggest you guys look at things like restaurants, office complexes, artist space, shops, markets, apartments, event galleries, community centers, other meeting spaces, and numerous small museums. So that was her answer to my question.
Didn't they think about courthouse?
Nope, not a thing about it. And literally, by the time we were done talking, we were on the phone maybe a minute and a half. She was hyperventilating so bad she couldn't even speak. That worked up over this. And she says, well, FEMA, I said, Lorna, FEMA's always put in writing, they don't really care. As long as we follow the procedures set forth by the Department of Interior and the North Dakota law, this is how it's, I said, they're not going to tear the courthouse down. They're just asking a question. And that was where it ended.
Now you understand the frustration.
Yep.
That
I talked to Lad.
Ron's talked to her, I've talked to her.
Yep.
It was fairly evident it's not coming down.
And I talked to Lad Erickson. He went through this with McLean County, and he said the legislature passed a law after that Cass County courthouse fiasco, the jail and all that, the old jail building.
Yeah.
And he said the process is pretty simple now. He goes, it's the citizens vote 70%, it's coming down, and the State Historical Society has to play along with it. Or you get your advisory committee on historical places, and you present your case, and of course we would have that documented, and that's the end of it. And they still are going to help. I don't think help's the word, but they have, the bottom line is this building belongs to Griggs County, and you or the voters have the final say. The voters, period. And the only way that we would ever have to refund FEMA, and they put that in writing, is if we just went ahead and demolished it and we didn't ask the State Historical Society to help with that process to document the building. So
how do we move forward? What do you do?
I am going, if you guys want me the blessing, I am going to send them a letter as the emergency manager, and I'm going to re-ask that question exactly like I did the first time, just that you guys are looking for the process.
Right.
Not just the ideas to put a flower shop or a restaurant, or so I told her, I said, we've got 3 restaurants now that are hanging by a thread. We don't need to have another one on government property, and it just wasn't going well. So
and we don't know what we can do with it until we know what we can do with it. We have to be able to say, okay, here's the options, taxpayers. We can do this or this or this.
Yep. And that's what I told her. I tried to set up a meeting, and she said, "Yep, I'll call you back." And I never heard from her. And then the next day, I get this email about these shops and restaurants and apartments. Okay.
Well, were they going to give us money for that? Maybe you should have pursued that.
Well, I know the most money that they've ever offered anyone that I know of is like $30,000 to $50,000. I know Stutzman County got $50,000 to fill their basin with sand to try and get rid of the radon.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. And right now, they don't have anything. They have no money.
Well.
Do you want me to write that letter? And
I don't know what, Troy, guys, what do you think?
So.
I don't know.
Might as well.
Jamie and I can get together and come up with a letter that looks good. You okay with that?
Yeah.
And I'll just sign it and send it in.
Well, we got to make some kind of attempt to give the taxpayers a choice on this thing.
Be able to put forth some numbers on what it's going to cost to do one or the
Right.
other.
Yeah.
And see, that's what I told her. I said, they're not budgeting nothing. I said, there's nothing being done. They just want to be able to talk intelligently to the citizens that are asking a question. I think that was a fair question to ask her.
Do you have those letters that you got from FEMA or DS or whatever?
Yeah, you want our copy of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody's asking me, and I've never seen those letters other than that JAG opinion that we got, so we couldn't tear it down.
Yeah, that other one's been sent out twice. I sent it out twice, but I'll get it to you. It's laying right on my desk. I'm gonna write it laying out here. Truck permits. I guess question number one, do you want that to stay in the sheriff's office? Everybody happy with how it's going?
Yeah, I think.
It seems to work good. I think when you got the sheriff's office tagged to that,
Yep.
there's a little bit more cooperation on their side of it.
Yeah, there's penalty
My
for
deputy
that.
Mark asked if he could kind of take that over and be the point guy on it, because he did that. I said, yeah, that's fine, and also
That's okay.
approve everything. And
Thank you.
okay. Mark and I are going to meet in Steele County on Monday with Don Husel. And Don Husel wrote this program for the western colonies now. He's gonna do a update on it for us and just go through the process.
He's still a DES over there?
He's their 911 guy, but he's still the truck permit consultant. The new emergency manager is just kind of getting up and running on, so Don kind of verifies everything he does. And I think next meeting, I don't know if Wayne talked about it or not, but the money that we've received, federal or state dollars for the graveling or the paving work, there's language in that those roads have to go to 105.5.
Yep.
Yeah, I know, we know that.
And I know Steele County just dealt with that at their last meeting. They pushed them up to 105.5. That about makes them want to throw up because the gravel roads are not make that deep.
I don't think we have to allow 105.5.
No, I don't
They
think
have
so.
to be specified.
Yeah.
The gravel has to be, the road has to be capable. We don't have to allow it.
Right. Now that's what my
what I was
thoughts.
trying to say. Huh?
I think that was my kind of thoughts. I don't think we want to run 105.5 down our gravel roads because they're going to go from pavement to county onto a township road and be nothing left.
My thought on that was it's kind of a non-process, it doesn't matter because they can't get onto that road with 105,000 because the roads they're all connected to 80,000 pound roads, so it really doesn't make much difference.
The only
Unless
place
they
you,
fill it right there.
right, the only place you could really pull that off and probably get away with it would be from south of Hannaford to Agra. And, the Central Plains, that chunk there, but that I don't know where else they could pull it off.
Right.
Unless you go 200 to Sutton and sneak up there.
So I mean, really, they're not going to get 105 on them legal. Or they can, if they get on there with 105, they're fine, but they can't get there with 105. So
Right. So.
It'd be a good place to have a checkpoint.
Yep. those overloads add up. Okay, the last thing you guys had on your list for me was the deputy vehicle. I spoke with the adjuster this morning. They have determined the vehicle is totaled. For just the car alone, it's $3,600 and some change. We have a $250 deductible that comes off that, so we're going to get a check for $3,400 and some change on that car. To get that, I need to sign off on the title and get that to the adjuster so they can get a check written back to the county.
Can you sign that?
I have signed the last two because there says the sheriff's office on them.
Okay.
But then no one's ever spoke about it, so I'll sign it. That's okay.
Well, that's fine. It's just going to be a salvage title anyway. I'm
Yeah.
just curious.
And along with that, he said they will, in addition to the $3,400, they're going to pay for the removal and reinstall of electronics equipment in another vehicle if we go that route. Because we got to get the equipment out of it. So Travis is going to do that. Right now at Jerry's, we're not going to move the vehicle, and they're going to pick it up there. So I guess that leads into my next question. I'm going to ask that we replace that car with a actual police package vehicle. I don't have the exact numbers put together on the whole thing, but the North Dakota State bid on that 4-door Dodge Charger is $23,690, and on a Dodge Durango, it's $25,977. And I still would propose we sell the silver Dodge pickup. I'd like to see that gone. It's not a police car. It never was. I know even Paul was disappointed after purchasing it. If he put 400 some pounds of sand in the back to stabilize on the gravel, because it is rough on the gravel.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, Troy, you talked to Don about that, but Don sells them. Be like asking Kent Dick if John Deere combines were good. There's that's how it's going to go. Right, exactly. Now it's versatile. So I don't know if you have interest in selling that pickup. if this was my vehicle, you know, I'd just drive that Dodge, but my staff has to use those vehicles to respond. I mean, we all know it's not a secret what we do at work. You know, when the phone rings, we go. And I've put a lot of miles in that pickup. That pickup compared to one I drive, they're night and day difference. They got a different front suspension in them. That pickup's been kind of a nightmare ever since the day we got it. I didn't think we should have got it in the first place, but I wasn't in charge then. But I've been stuck with it.
So we're gonna get, what, $4,000 out of the,
Yeah, we'll get,
out of the car?
it'll be 4,000 with removal.
Yeah.
And then there's reinstall probably 1,000 to 1,300 to get everything put back in place. And they're gonna pay for that. Insurance that
Right,
just
but
send them a bill.
but we'll get the removal, so that's fine.
Yep.
So cash, we get 4,000 out of that. What do you get out of the pickup?
I don't have it from me. Last time
What year is
EW's, at that time, last time I did it, they looked truck over and they said between 11 and 12. You know, if we could get 10 for it.
Yeah.
Then you'd have another removal bill on that.
That one will be quite a bit cheaper to remove that equipment. Some of it we'll just take off.
$300 is
It
very
should-
much.
Yeah.
So, on a Durango, so it'd be $15,000?
You know, and I wish I could buy one for that price.
Oh, we all do.
You know, man, that'd be nice. So, both vehicles, the Charger and the Durango, they're both, the Charger's all-wheel drive. They're used them all across state. The Durango, it's a four-wheel drive. It's an SUV. It probably has a little bit more serviceability for us where we're at.
Yeah.
The thing, I guess, from personal experience, the thing about the pickups that's not so good, especially that one doesn't have a full back seat in it. It's got the shorter back seat. Is our equipment. You know, most of our equipment's got to be laying outside the back of the truck. It just I have no problem with mine. Mine's got a little bit bigger back seat, and I got my stuff stowed in there differently. But that thing was set up differently, and so I just need to know what your guys' thoughts on that are. So I can make some plans. And I don't need to. We don't have to finish this today. We can finish it next meeting. I'll give you some hard numbers, so you have some exact numbers to talk about. Whatever you want to do, just I need some direction. You know, this isn't a gift from me or my personal anything. If this is just business.
Is there any room in your budget anywhere?
I'll go through that too before next meeting. When is your next meeting?
May 5th right now.
You're down to one now. By May, I'll have it put together by May 5th. It's going to take.
Oh, I just lied to the damn water board.
I was
Why
listening
didn't
to
you
you.
get
I thought we were gonna change, I thought that was on the.
That's on the
I thought we were
agenda.
gonna change that today anyway.
Oh, see?
See,
I was
thought that
hoping
too.
not.
We were
I thought it was
talking
just a
about twice month. I was thinking,
discussion.
what the hell?
What business can run on meeting every month?
Not very many.
Not very many, not very well.
Most likely, we'll probably be having a meeting in 2 weeks.
Okay, well, I'll put numbers together. You want them ahead of time so you can stew on them, or what? I'll get them to Sam and she can disseminate
Yes,
whatever.
she can disseminate them, yeah. Yep.
So I guess thoughts.
They stay shorter anyway if a guy doesn't have to wait a month.
Yeah.
Right, I agree. I have no problem with them 2 meetings a month.
Yeah, but you don't do the minutes. She does.
Yeah, Bob.
I guess there's one other thing I was going to talk about. And this is probably a question could be for Sam off meeting too, but I've been doing a lot of research, it's going to be deep research, but on payroll systems. Have Sam, you guys ever looked at a payroll system that's just like more automatic? There's some good ones out there, and you know everyone can access it from a cell phone or computer. It just takes care of itself. And
they're not compatible with the whole state system. Yeah, QuickBooks would be a wonderful system.
so I guess my question for Sam is: right now, when you get that payroll, do you have to like re-input that into something?
Some of them, yeah. That's why we do a lot of like set salaries for set hours. Then those are all in, and then it's just a quick. But if you have overtime, then we have to input all that information in.
So, would there be any advantage to you with that system? If I did a demo with it, tried it, it would be a lot better for my office. We could just go as we go along on our computer and fill it out just daily and hourly almost.
You're talking a QuickBooks or a Microsoft base?
Well, the one I looked at, it's called
Intuit.
it's called Paylocity, and I have some
Oh.
experience with that. And that potential program, it's a mid-market program, probably for bigger we need, but there's hundreds of them out there. Something's got to work for us. I didn't know if there's anything that would work or not.
Well, I mean, our software system in the county is so antiquated, and the only possibility is to update it with another antiquated system, basically, because we have to abide by all these. I mean, if you could use a QuickBooks or one of these on-the-market systems to do this, which you could very easily, it'd be simple, and it would cost you $5,000 for the program, and it'd be all said and done. But
The return on it for our side is wonderful. I mean, it just takes care of everything. Leave request, the whole thing's on there. It's just nice. It's automatic.
But then it still has to be inputted in.
Right. So I mean, if that's the case, then there's no
not-
benefit to it for you or your side. Then it probably create more work.
Yeah,
well, I
there's-
mean, if you can find like a simpler way to get it over to us, I mean, we'd have to input it anyway.
Yeah, we're doing that right now. I mean, do something that way that makes more sense because we're doing paper and printing and signing and copying. That's ridiculous.
But there's nothing that interfaces with the system we have, and the system that we were looking at, in my opinion, is really expensive and probably won't get put into place, but it doesn't input either. It doesn't, you have to basically use their payroll system, the way I understand it.
But on there, it was like you can request your leave or
Right.
whatever, and then it would pop over to us. So, I mean, that part of it was in there, but the payroll part wasn't.
All these county software programs were built around real estate tax parcel numbers.
Yeah.
Really?
And all this other stuff is just kind of an afterthought. And
Well, I tell you, I know my experience and Paul's experience with this, when we were working together, it just made no sense. Nothing
Well-
we could do made sense that way.
No, I mean, but you guys could just have a time card, couldn't you? I mean,
Well, it'd have to be electronic though, because so much of our time ones is start in the office, and there's no way to go back on a time card and re-punch it when you start. It would be electronic, something like that would be.
Oh, there's
is what I
apps
would
for
do.
that. There's an app where you can punch in on your
Yeah,
cell
and I
phone.
was looking at those. So I'm going to probably do something like that, just to make things simpler. And the end product will be usable for you. Probably more simple.
But yeah, as far as inputting something with our system, there just isn't nothing.
Okay.
I mean, actually, we should just do away with our system except to use the tax parcel, the land parcels of it, and the rest of it we should do on a
Something
regular
else.
system, yeah. The billing and all that kind of stuff could be done on a QuickBooks or something like that. But Sam's used to this one now.
Well, I end with that one then. Do you want me to come to the next meeting with some preparations on vehicle numbers, or what do you?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Doesn't hurt to have numbers to look at.
Great. I won't go buy it first.
Yeah, well, you know how to do it. Hope for the best, plan for the worst, and you'll never be disappointed.
I don't get disappointed very easily. Anything else?
No.
good.
Very good.
I'll put that on your desk, Jim. Copy that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah.
Tax director.
Okay, so I have a few things on that. You wanted the duties in there, so I got those.
Equalization meetings, mobile home delinquent notice, Connie must send those out. Assessment workbooks are due from assessors to our office by the end of April.
Okay, if you would look at page 67, the townships that are highlighted do not have an assessor, so like the last 2 years, I think, we've had one of the commissioners attend these.
Do we need to do that?
It's just a goodwill gesture.
It's just to represent the county.
It's just they think the township officers say, well, at least somebody was here and said we didn't have to have an assessor, just go explain the same thing over again, But
And then Binford, the city of Binford is also on the bottom.
Broadview Township should have an assessor, excuse me.
They do? Okay.
I'll do the Binford one and the Willow Township
So
one.
John is, and this is on the 10th. This is Monday.
Except for Binford's on the 18th.
Right. Yep. Yep. But all the rest are April 10th. So John, you've got this one and you've got that one.
So there's a Willow Township in Steele County too, right?
Willow Lake.
Willow Lake. Yeah.
Anybody else willing to go to any of them?
Well, I can go down to the Bible camp, but
You go down. Okay.
they can do Ball Hill.
Okay.
You guys have put Ron down for, what did he do, Rose? He did Rosendahl, didn't he, last year?
I don't remember.
I think so.
Put Ron down for that one.
Yeah, call him and tell him.
Okay.
He's on, who did Mabel? You kind of Mabel, didn't you?
I did one year and then somebody else did the next.
I think I went to Dougie Rickford's, but that must be Bryan Township. They must have got an assessor.
I can go out to Mabel, that's in the morning, because I gotta be at my own in the evenings.
Okay.
What's that leave?
Broadview, Walker. Suppose if I go down there after I'm at.
But you had said that Broadview had an assessor,
Oh,
Yeah,
so we don't
so
need
don't
that
need
one.
that one.
how big kid is supposed to be doing it?
Chad.
Marlin,
And so then we just have Kingsley.
I can't be around at 2 p.m.
2 p.m. is not going to work for
Trail
trail.
either. See if Ron can do Kingsley.
See if Ron can do that one.
See
Okay.
if Kingsley and Washburn, Rosendahl work.
Got it.
If not, we'll.
Okay. All right. And then if you look at page 68 through 71, that needs the county director of tax equalization signature on it. It's been prepared, it just needs a signature.
Oh, I mean, we can, the chairman of the county commission can sign it. We're the acting, we're at the acting tax director. We've been doing that, haven't we? No? I think the board has been. I'd make a motion that Troy signs the, what's the name of it?
Mobile home abstract certification.
The mobile home abstract certification as the county commission being the acting tax director.
Second motion.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, and then with these homestead credits, the problem with this is the commission is not supposed to see this information, but the tax director is, and it needs the tax director's signature on them. How would you like?
Why is the commission not supposed to see them, and where is it written?
I don't know. It's like,
Haven't we in the past?
No, I've put a sticky note over this
Oh, yeah,
information.
I've seen the application.
Yep, you've seen the application, just not all the information.
Personal information.
Yep, and that's what I have right now. And Connie said she's not able to sign these, obviously, because she's not, whatever. So, wondering how you want me to go. Do you guys want to sign them?
You could appoint Connie interim tax director for the purpose of doing that.
Or Sam.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that
For the
they
for the
meet the
special-
minimum qualifications of the,
Right, for the special purposes of reviewing those, and that's it.
yeah,
So
so
someone
you
can-
can put your sticky note over.
Well, I can put my sticky note over these and then submit them and then have you guys sign them that way.
Right, and you certify they meet the minimum qualifications. That's all the information is about
And
anyway.
all you have to do is sign it as your name, acting tax director.
But I don't know this like what this information means. I have no idea, not even the slightest idea what this information is.
Doesn't matter, just sign them.
Well,
I-
it's the income and their age, isn't it? That's all that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not very much information to know.
And you just look, all you have to do is look on the website and they'll tell you what the minimums are, the maximums are.
There's only a couple things I have to look at, and I probably won't be able to help you today, but I probably could help you maybe next week with it.
What is it? There must be a century code on that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is. There's a code section.
Well, and see, it's like this. It's called the signature of assessor. And I know that you guys have said that that's not you, but some of these they don't have an assessor. So then that would be you, right?
No, not assessed.
Where did they originate? Did they originate with the township? Or they came right into your office?
No, I've never seen. Connie gave me this folder. She said the commission needs to sign these. She said that the tax director has always signed these in the past.
Okay.
And so that's how I
think Ron
got.
should sign him. He's the only assessor in the county anyway.
Well, if they need an assessor, then we need an assessor to sign it.
We've got one.
Wrong.
He's sick.
But like Farah's done some of these, so we can have Farah sign them. But there's some others that don't have an assessor.
She's not certified.
Ron's only certified assessor, so have Ron review them, and Ron can abstain from any discussion or that, and any voting on it. You guys can appoint Ron. You guys could appoint Ron for the special purpose of doing this.
Yeah, Sarah's still the assessor until July.
Farah.
Farah is still the assessor until July.
True.
So is that what you would like me to do? Is have Farah sign the ones that she needs, and then you guys will appoint Ron to sign the rest of them?
If he's willing to.
Okay.
She needs to do the city ones.
Yeah.
Okay. So any ones that have Farah's name on them, then she signs them, and then.
Then we'll ask Ron if he'll do the rest of them. Otherwise, we'll have you do them.
And really, I mean, so she's not a certified assessor, we don't have the ability to get a certified assessor. She's the next best thing. I think we should just heed Donnie Biggsaw's advice and just keep doing it the way we've been doing it.
Okay.
The state made a poor decision on how to do the tax assessing, and they should have to live with the results.
Absolutely, they should. They were trying to capitalize on all the land values going up in the western part of the state, and they didn't realize what it was going to do to everybody else. Imagine your bureaucracy not thinking through its actions.
Anything else on the tax director?
I've got a couple of things that might fall into this. I know you talked to Paul about that land that was it's tax land, it's tax sale land, I guess. There's a lot in Cooperstown with the trailer house on it that was taken back for taxes. I know Paul asked about it, and there's actually a couple of people that are interested in purchasing that property. I've done some research. I've spoken with Aaron Burst about it. He has some research, and he didn't have it. He was driving when I talked to him, but to his best knowledge and my best knowledge for as far as doing research and even I spoke with the DOT, or Paige did some research with the DOT. That trailer house hasn't been registered with the DOT. That it came back is not on record. So it's our opinion that the trailer house should go with that property. Now, if the county sells that property and that property is an eyesore with that trailer house on it and it's unsafe or whatever, we can sell that property with the condition that that be removed within 60 days, 90 days, or 6 months or whatever. We don't have to sell that property and stay in the same condition it is. We can condition that sale on that stuff being fixed.
Isn't that in town?
It is, but it's our property. And now that we have people interested in it, we can't just sell it back to the city for $1. We have to dispose of it as we dispose of property worth more than $100, which would likely mean taking bids on that stuff, even if it's after the tax sale, because there's more than one person interested in it all.
Yeah, all, now we're on the subject, all the mayor wanted to know was if the county was responsible for cleaning it up.
Right, and there's 2 people that are interested in it. I guess what I would say is we can advertise it for bids maybe after the next meeting, because I know this was an agenda item. Advertise it for bids, and with the condition that it be cleaned up within 90 days, since it's going to be summertime, as a condition of the purchase. We do that up in Nelson County. The city of Lakota does it. Buy a lot, make it a condition that stuff is cleaned up or taken care of within 90 days or 6 months or whatever you guys determine as a time period. And if it doesn't, at the time of the transaction, they sign a quick claim deed, and it's deeded back to the city or to the county within those.
I was going to
6
ask
months.
what's the leverage on that?
So that's what happens, and it's happened without recourse out, and we've done it in Nelson County now when we've gotten property back for taxes, to clean some of this stuff up, and it's permissible to do that. I think there's a lot of municipalities and a lot of counties that do that.
So you'll prepare the documents for next meeting?
Well, I think we should advertise it, so I think I can prepare the ad. Yeah, I can absolutely prepare the ad, but I think it should be advertised since there's 2 parties interested in it. I think that'd be an appropriate way to go at it.
Okay.
I do have one other thing. It's completely off topic. Losco approached me about getting an intern that would be at no cost to the county. It's for credits between both counties if she wanted to come to my office. So I'm just gonna let you guys know that in case people see someone wandering around the courthouse. I've been approached about having an intern. So
Did you order her a panic button?
Or a 9mm?
No. She can use mine.
Your 9mm or your panic button?
I got a 45.
Oh. You're expecting big assailants.
My wife hates my 45s.
I don't want to slow them down, I want to stop them.
Okay. Beer and liquor license for Red Willow Lake. Who's doing that this year?
Same people.
Mike?
Yeah, Mike.
Oh, he's doing it this year?
He came in for the license.
I'll make a motion, we approve the beer and liquor licenses for Prairie Bakery and Pizza, Red Willow Lake Cafe.
Been moved by John that we approve the aforementioned beer and liquor license. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. What, did we get our hands swatted from the auditor?
Not really.
Well, I think they liked it.
They didn't like Harold a little bit. They got mad at Harold for what did he do? 3 things wrong. We submitted it too late.
Yeah.
That was. I mean, the number one, you should have said opinions rather than opinion, that's just kind of a.
Nitpicky.
Use the period instead of a semicolon. Net position does not report any restricted net position, so they're basically saying we overstated our balance sheet. Yeah. Same thing with number 3. I don't think it's a big deal. Getting better. I think last year there was about 12 items that
Oh, really?
Harold had done wrong, yeah. Well, you're never too old to learn.
Did we pay this bill today?
Good.
Okay.
Isn't that something? The state imposes a rule that they have to check
And
the
then
audit
they
that
bill
we
you
have
for
to
it.
pay for, and then they bill us for checking
Check our
the audit that they made us send to them. Only in.
Sick leave donation.
With that one, there was a lot of sickness going around this courthouse, and one of the new employees of social services got sick, and she didn't have enough sick leave, so Tammy would like to donate to her.
I guess the policy allows it. I don't like the policy, but it allows it.
Tammy's not donating anything. We are.
Yeah.
Taxpayers are donating.
Yeah, because it's over and above what you can ever use, so we gotta change that policy. It's gotta be changed. But it isn't right now.
Right. No. Is that a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Moved by Dale, seconded by Sean. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. John.
Aye.
Dale. Sean. Troy votes aye. 2016 audit.
You wanted me to bring that back up because I think you wanted Ron in on the discussion, and then he's
Oh,
sick.
he's sick.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys still want to talk about it or
Want us
if
to
you
hand our
want.
pages back into you so you can put them in the next packet?
Nope, I will. I got it.
So anyway, I looked at it, you did, Troy, also. There's some things I don't agree with in there, but I don't think it matters much. I think we use it as a baseline going forward. Because it doesn't change anything, if the money's going back into the treasury, it's just a baseline, so I don't think.
It's not
I think we approve it as is and use that and go forward.
Is that a motion?
No, I'm just making a statement. Because Ron might have a different idea on that.
Oh, you want to wait?
I think so.
Okay.
Out of courtesy to him, he might have a different opinion on that. Here's one Sam's been waiting for.
What? Can I talk?
Commission meeting schedule.
My thought is, can we try it? Try having one meeting a month. You did have a bill resolution that, if bills come through for, electric or phone or anything like that, that you do have, that resolution that I can pay them so that we don't go like overdue on those things. I'm comfortable with doing 2 meetings a month. This is what I've been doing, but it
You
does.
don't miss us after 2 weeks?
Sometimes, I tell you what.
Not so much.
That's just my own personal opinion. I think that a business of this size requires more commitment than one time a month. But I just.
What it ends up being to me is just less time. I mean, the same amount of time, or maybe less.
Maybe less.
Because if you have one meeting a month, then you got that much more stuff to talk about anyway, so it's going to take more time.
Yeah, and then if something gets delayed to the next meeting, it's a whole month away, so you could possibly be 2 months down the road before you get a decision on things. I mean, that's just my opinion, whatever you guys want.
2 short meetings in one long meeting.
I'll make a motion, we add another meeting
If
every 2
we
weeks.
had done what we needed in 2 weeks today, you're gonna be looking at probably 4-hour meetings.
Yep. I'll make the motion that we add a week of special meetings to finish out the calendar year to include the meeting every 2 weeks.
Or is it the first and third week?
Yeah, it's first and third.
Yeah, well, in between then. So those will have to be special meetings then, unless we can amend the meeting schedule.
Do you want to?
I don't know if we can. The meeting schedule is supposed to be posted by the first of the year.
Right.
And then anything after that is supposed to be a special meeting.
Do a little research.
Yep. Either way, the end result is the same. Sam got her light switch, but she didn't get a meeting every month. 1 to 1.
Old courthouse, new courthouse. Is that, what's this on the back?
I was told to bring that to you guys. That is the bills that have been paid out of the general courtroom fund this year.
Okay.
At the last meeting, we had talked about that. So that's your
What
account
had
history.
we budgeted? 7 here.
I don't think it got put in for some reason. I think that was the one that I missed. But I think it's 130 something thousand.
General courtroom.
Yeah, I don't think.
Oh, there's no budget number.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about.
Yep. But in your budget,
What we got left? Still got the cement work this week, right?
Cement work is still there, yeah. That's what's still in there.
Landscaping. Landscaping.
Yeah.
Except for
Air conditioner units.
That should be paid.
That's paid.
Oh, that's paid.
Oh no, Schultz has only been paid 15,000 so far.
Oh.
Or was he paid 10 out of the other?
We budgeted 176,000. Okay.
So was Schultz paid 15 out of this budget and then 10 out of the previous?
Well, that's what I was thinking. We did one before then.
Well, we used up in 16. We used up the
Out of the other fund.
right.
Yeah.
So which one carried over? Was it just? Remember, part of the balance was paid out of that to equal $24,000, I think, or $28,000.
yeah, from the EOC grant.
Right.
Right.
One of these items here was paid. Part of it was paid in EOC grant, and part of it here.
Schultz, I think.
You think Schultz?
I will do
You
an
think he was
account.
paid 10,000, or do you think he was paid? His bid was 24,000 something.
Well, maybe I can.
Is it drying out back here?
Yeah.
Mm,
But one of them carried over. 'Cause there wasn't enough money.
Yeah, my governance software isn't working. I will do an account history of the other one for you.
Right. But he can will come back and finish that when he gets dried out, huh?
Yeah, I talked to him. But we gotta get somebody to put some gravel in there with a laser or something and get it buried.
Oops, Jesus. I gave you more stuff.
I was going to talk to you guys about an open house here. We had 2 dates in mind, the 21st, which now that's going to be your guys' next meeting, or the 28th. And I was asked to ask you if we could buy a cake for that open house. No, yes.
Huh?
No, yes. And then we can give tours of the new building and stuff.
How
be gone for the next commission meeting. I've got a trial scheduled that day, but I'll try to get the stuff to you guys ahead of time.
Have there been people stopping in to look at it?
There has been, yeah.
So you've already done it then?
We've done a few,
April.
but we're not able to take them all the way through, like the courtroom and stuff like that.
Why?
That all has to be locked up.
What?
Why?
Yeah, state regulation, I guess.
Huh?
No.
I'd like to see the regulation.
So where's that, Jamie? Is that a state regulation?
I don't know. It's,
I suppose if it isn't, somebody could come in and put their firearm under their seat, so when they came to trial, they were
Yeah,
prepared.
I don't know if it's a regulation, but I think the court, I think it's an administrative thing.
It's a public room. It should be, we should be able to have public meetings in there.
I don't know. It's not my
Do
room.
we lock the other one all the time?
I don't know, there's,
Yeah.
the district court has policies and procedures for security, and Kelly's got those, and I don't know what they are.
That makes two of us.
If we don't get to use it, we're gonna have to start charging more rent.
Yeah, I mean, we use the other one all the time. We use it for, I mean, it's always been used, the courthouse has always been used for events that were bigger than what was.
Well, and I think they
It,
can be,
it's
but it just,
still
it
can,
just,
I still have a master key, but it's just
it
locked
just remains
up.
locked during.
I know, but if somebody came in here and wanted to look at the courthouse, I hope the hell you took them in there and showed them the courtroom. You didn't?
Well, some of them, but otherwise they just kind of walked themselves and they just
Oh,
kind
okay.
of, you know.
We have to treat
Self-guided
everybody
tours. Dave.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I said, yep, take a look, you know, and then they just walked around and,
Oh.
yeah.
Don't forget who's building.
Absolutely.
That is the truth.
Yes to an open house or no to an open house?
I don't care.
I don't care.
Do we have to go?
No.
Well, I was hoping for a speech.
They have to give a
Well,
speech?
that's what I was hoping for.
Johnny will give a speech.
Yeah, I give one.
May I purchase a cake or not purchase
Well,
a
it's
cake?
your money, do what you want. You
Yeah,
the county
take it
buy
over-
a cake?
Take it
Yeah.
over the general courthouse, I suppose,
Yeah, okay.
Cake, I suppose you better have some
Pizza,
punch or something.
ice cream.
Okay.
Why don't you grill some burgers out front?
Can I do that?
Mints.
Burgers,
Huh?
Oh, you don't have your glasses.
brats, a pop, and the chips for $2.
And then get a bunch of those sympathy balloons. We're sorry.
Apology flyers.
Didn't have any choice.
Anything else? Future business?
Yeah, there was.
Oh, I was going to talk to you. New courthouse, can I go back?
Yep.
CWB bills. How are you wanting to do this?
The what?
With the social services being in this building, before they took care of their own water, sewer, garbage, electric, all that stuff, now they're in this building and it's not split up.
Right.
How are you wanting me to split that up? Do you want me to split that up? I talked to Sia and Tammy a little bit, and they were saying that they are still paying the bills down there, so they can't double dip. Their budget, they don't have enough in their budget to be paying bills here plus paying bills there, unless the county or unless we want to take over the bills over there, then they start paying over here.
Are there any duplications? I mean, are they, like the cleaning, for instance? Now, we're doing the cleaning, are they still paying the cleaning bill down there?
No, and that
Okay.
was another thing, is Deb was wanting to know if out of their budget, if she could just be getting what Dawn was getting before.
Didn't
'Cause-
we already address that?
It's kind of switch swap now. Now social services doesn't want Dawn to do it anymore. They want only Deb, and then it's gotten to be kind of a
Can't fight. Here's what I think. Obviously, there's no cleaning bill down at the old welfare building. The only thing there should be is a light bill.
Water and sewer,
Water
you
and
can't
sewer,
disconnect.
No water and sewer. I mean, it shouldn't be any garbage, shouldn't be any snow removal, shouldn't be any of that stuff.
Insurance.
So
We
I
always
think,
paid anyway.
so I think we should take all that stuff. They should give us their budget monthly or whatever for taking care of their end of the courthouse. But I think Sam needs to be in charge of the janitors. They can't have a boss in every room in this building, or they're gonna get mad and quit, and everybody's gonna be mad at each other to
Yep.
boot. So I think Sam and Lori should coordinate what people want done. If it's outside of just the normal daily routine stuff, and she should schedule that with the janitors.
But
Because right now, people are putting notes out and everybody's doing their own thing, giving the janitors orders. Ain't gonna work.
no, but the thing we can't do is, if we're paying a janitor salary down there and a janitor salary here, we can't just combine those two. It still has to be based on the amount of time you work, spend at your job. Right?
They're not on salary, they're hourly employees, aren't they?
They're hourly, but they're like a set salary for set hours.
So what she wanted to do is she wanted them to take the salary that they were getting down there and roll it into hers, so she would be actually getting more money for that, for the same amount of hours, correct?
Well, she's spending a little bit more
Right.
time now, but yeah, then that would be their portion because Dawn was getting, I think, like 100 and something a pay period. And so then
But
for Brian and Deb,
If Deb puts in more hours, she'll
She's
get
gonna
more
get
money.
paid for it anyway.
And that wasn't what she was wanting. She was wanting just to take that money
No.
and have it. They basically give yourself a pay raise if you didn't work as many hours, right?
she just wanted that.
No, if she works more hours, she gets paid more money. And whatever budget they had there, I think we should roll that into the county, as Troy said. And anything else is duplicated. I mean, if they don't need, if they're not paying for a
Well,
service down
be
there,
careful before you roll their stuff into the county.
have them pay us for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're still gonna take their
Yeah.
20, it'll end up costing us money next
Yeah.
year.
So, yeah, they'll be able to pay us for it then.
They'll still take their 20 mils. We'll have to clean the courthouse.
I talked with Aaron Burst. He said, and I haven't seen what the legislator's doing now, what there has done the last couple of days, but he thought that the state was probably going to be funding social services next year. He thought that bill was going to pass.
They pushed it into Monday.
Yeah, I was gonna say
They-
it went into.
Yeah, Carlson, and the reason is because Carlson is trying to kill it, and it doesn't look like he's had enough votes to do it, so he keeps on rescheduling it.
It's really not funding social services, though. It's giving the counties a set amount of dollars to run social services, so akin to the
Just like the Crooked Court.
clerk of court.
Right.
So the
It'll be 0.43 employees or whatever they
Right.
be
Yeah.
according
so
to
the
their
so the
formula.
state is then putting the burden because they can't control. They want to control their budget, so they're going to say, okay, we're only going to give you this much budget, county, but here's what you have to have. So the county's going to have to be strong enough to say, just like we did with the clerk and court, okay, here's the money we got.
That's all you're spending.
That's all you're spending. And so the whole notion that the social services are going to just the opposite.
No,
It's
it's
going to go. But rather than the state being the bad guy, the county's going to be the bad guy over this.
And it's not gonna make any difference anyway, because I think if it does pass, we're gonna lose that 12% share of the school funding anyway, because the state can only spend so much money.
But they're trying to preserve that. That's why they're doing this, is to preserve that 12%.
Okay.
Where it's going to cause problems is where the spending allocations run into the federal guidelines. And so you're not going to have enough money to meet the federal guidelines because the state didn't give you enough. So you got to bump that up to meet the federal guidelines, which will get rid of some people on the other side here. But that's just the way it's going to work. If that goes through, social services is going to get cut.
Every
25%.
office in every county will be
Yeah.
shrink.
It'll shrink it. But the state won't be the bad guy for shrinking. It'll be the county commissioners.
At our District 23 reorganizational meeting, Bill and and Don both said that bill doesn't have a chance of passing this session.
This was social service one?
That was then, this is now, but
Yeah, and that's what I understood too, and I was actually really surprised to get that information from Aaron, because I thought it was pretty much dead.
well, I guess everybody can have an opinion, but those guys didn't think it was. Don said, you know what? We don't have any money. We're going to have a lot less state employees next year than we have now, and nothing's going to get passed, new spending, because we don't have any money to do it. That was his opinion, which is music to my ears, that they're not going to spend money they don't have. That's just not like them.
Mm-mm. But again, yeah, we'll see.
Okay, with that being said, for the general fund is going to take care of that building. And then how do you want me to do, like...
Well, how often is that got to be cleaned now?
It just has to be cleaned one more time before
the new
it's...
owner takes over? Or?
Yeah, I think it just has to be cleaned
We
one
need
more
to
time.
advertise that thing. Does
The
anybody
general
ask
fund's gonna
about
take
it?
No, the general fund's gonna take care of that building?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
No, it wasn't, weren't the social services gonna keep paying?
They'll keep paying on that one, but they can't pay here.
Well, there's some things they can. They're, if you look at their budget, okay, they'll have to.
I think we should take over that empty building and they can pay whatever they have budgeted for cleaning and whatever, they can pay the county.
Oh, okay.
And then we can
Because then you can make it,
redo
you
it.
can make it come out to the penny that way.
Yeah, you could.
And I was supposed to let you know about the cost allocation. It's 2 years behind. And so when they were over in that building, they were actually paying that they were in this building.
What's the cost allocation?
I guess it's like, I just got a brief of what it is, but it's like the social services pays for rent plus uses of each office, like a little bit for using the auditor, a little bit for using the treasurer, and then that would go towards the county. And then now Tammy was saying she does, like they can't double dip by paying that cost allocation plus paying more. I don't think I understood it correctly. Do you want me to go?
I don't.
Do you want me to go grab Sia so that she can explain it? I was supposed to say something about the cost allocation and that it's 2 years behind.
They owe us?
They put some into the general fund.
For your services.
Yep.
Yep, So what's 2 years behind? They haven't been paying it?
Like rent, like the study is 2 years behind. So
the use of the county departments, the study's 2 years behind? So they're not paying enough probably?
no, they're paying, but the study is coming from 2 years back information.
So they're using old data sets.
Right.
We're getting paid right now for 2015 then.
Correct.
At 2015 rates.
Yeah, like those information.
Okay, so on the budget here, let's go through it. Emergency salaries, that won't be affected. Board member won't be affected. Homemakers won't be affected. Mowing and snow removal, that one will be. They had $2,200. Here, write these down, Sam.
I suppose if we still want it, though.
Yeah, we'll have to keep on doing that
us.
stuff though.
But I'm just talking to custodian, $1,000. Computer line costs, $500.
What did you computer?
Computer line costs. Building insurance, we must have been paying that anyway.
Is there a budget in there?
There's no number.
Okay.
Electricity, $5,000. Water and sewer, $1,600. Telephone.
You're going too
38.
fast.
Oh,
Electricity, what? What was after that?
5,000. Water and sewer, garbage, $1,800. Telephone, $3,800. Repairs, 2,500. I think about the wrong budget. Shouldn't be remodeling costs.
That was the loan.
Huh?
That was the remodeling loan, wasn't it? $7,000 or something?
Do you have two budgets into one?
Maybe.
That was leaky. No, it's not leaking, but I need two. That's why I'm not moving.
Shoot, yeah, I'll probably do hang on here. C16. Where was I at?
I had snow removal, custodian, computer line, electricity, water, sewer, garbage, telephone repairs.
Repairs 1,800. No, repairs 2,500, excuse me. Then remodeling is gone. Snow removal 2,200.
Why do you have two?
The budget's, it's a different budget.
Oh.
They rolled them into two.
They were what?
They were rolled into two of them. Put it on the for next meeting. I'll go through it.
Okay.
We can make it retroactive anyway, can't we?
Sure. Okay. CW. Well, we can talk about it. Old courthouse, new courthouse, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you can clarify what they were talking about, the allocations.
Okay. Maybe I'll just have one of them come to the
Mhm.
next meeting and thank you. Okay. So we'll have the open house the 28th. Got that done. Okay, that's all I have.
Anything else?
Take a motion, adjourn.
Been moved by John to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dale. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned
At 3:55.
at 3:55 p.m. this 7th day in April. See you on the 21st.
Thank you.